What is up, YouTube? This is Chris, the Unprofessional Dad, and I'm back with another knife video. And tonight, I'm going to talk about a few things that have a lot to do with what we're dealing with right now. Outside, as we speak, there is a pretty massive winter storm going on, and the weather is nasty. Now, recently, in comments and emails, a few people have asked me if I would do a video about some of my knife selections that are dealing with bushcraft and survival. Now, I've done videos like that before. I've showed a lot of those knives, but every day I have new people that find my channel. So I decided that because of what we're dealing with outside, I would go back and I would show some of these knives. Knives that would be perfect for processing firewood, feather sticking, different things like that, building shelters in bad situations. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show a few knives that are really good for bushcraft, survival, and worst case scenario situations. A lot of these are budget friendly and really good for beginners, but I might sprinkle a few other ones in there as well that are not so budget friendly. And before I talk about a single knife, I want to welcome anybody that's stopping by my channel for the very first time. If you've just found me on your feed, the algorithm has just pointed you towards me. Whatever the case may be, if you're finding me for the very first time, I want to say welcome. Thank you for checking out what I've got going on. I appreciate your time very much. Hopefully you like what you see. We talk about knives and EDC almost every single day. Now, because you are new to my channel and you've just found me, I want to go ahead and share something with you. We have a massive contest going on right now. On March the 3rd, we're going to have a drawing. And one person is going to win a $200 budget. Not a knife, but a budget that they get to use to go anywhere that sells knives and EDC. Blade HQ, Knife Center, Smoky Mountain Knife Works, those type of places. Not places like Walmart or Target or any of those. But that person gets to go into those places and they get to spend $200. It's on me as a way of saying thank you. But they get to spend it on knives and EDC of their choice. Anything counts. Flashlights, pry bars, multi-tools, pins, watches, as long as it's knife and EDC related. Now again, that's on March the 3rd. Also on that live stream on March the 3rd, we're going to be giving a few knives away and other things for people that are locally, or not locally, but listen to me. You'll notice that about me. I get tongue-tied and say the wrong thing a lot. But people that are actually in the live stream with us at the time, we will have separate drawings for them as well. You might be wondering what you've got to do to be part of that. Well, that's real simple. It's the simplest part of all of this, other than click and play on this video. I have a video on my channel called Huge Knife Budget Giveaway. That's all it is. You go to that video, you click on it, and you type in one comment. That's it, and you're in. And on the 3rd of March, we'll use a random generator to pick out one comment, and that person wins the $200 budget. Now, also, if you like what you see and if you want to be a part of that contest, I would appreciate you subscribing to my channel. We're growing every single day, and I would really like to continue growing so I can share my knives with even more people. This is what I love to do. I love to talk knives and EDC, and I would love to keep growing. So that part is not required. You do not have to subscribe to my channel, but I would really appreciate that. Either way, thank you for your time. Now, all right, guys. So again, a lot of people have been asking me to share these videos. Most of you guys have seen me. You've already seen a lot of these knives. But there are new people. It never ceases to amaze me. Like, I will literally do a video and show some knives and talk about them. And the very next day in comments, people will be asking me, hey, have you showed these knives, or do you have any of these knives? And I'm like, I just talked about them yesterday. So I understand how that works on YouTube. New people find me constantly. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I could talk about the same knives over and over and over, and I don't care because I love my knives. I love all knives, and it is what it is. But these are knives that are bushcraft and survival friendly knives that you can use for those situations. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the knives that are, and I don't have all of them that I have that are, I just picked out a few. And I wanted to start with ones that would be really good for beginners. not beginners to survival and bushcraft. Because if that's what you're looking to learn, that skill set, then you need to go to another channel and you need to watch videos about survival and bushcraft and learn those skills. Don't get yourself in a situation where you're going out to use a knife and practice and you have no clue what you're doing. Now, I lived in a tent for 2 years, not because I was poor and broke and homeless, although I understand and appreciate that people like that, their situation completely. That's not what I'm saying, but it wasn't the case with me. I literally was in a place in my life. I loved that kind of stuff, and I was going through a few things. So I camped, hiked the Appalachian Trail, and spent a lot of time in tents, building shelters, going out into the woods with a piece of plastic and a knife, and then coming out 2 weeks later just to test my skills and see if I can survive. And I enjoyed that. So this weather right here would be heaven for me. I'd be in heaven right now. If it wasn't for my kids, I'm telling you right now, I would be somewhere in the middle of the woods building a makeshift lean-to shelter, stockpiling a bunch of wood, letting the snow come down on top of me and covered by some brush and a big roaring fire, staying warm, sleeping on warm beds that I lay down with hot rocks and then cover it up with dirt, just all kinds of different stuff. I just do crazy stuff that, just for the fun of it. But again, if you're looking to learn those kind of skills, this is not what this video is. This is just knives that you can use for that situation. Beginners that are new to knives, that's what this is. Not beginners that are new to those skills. Just want to make that caveat there, that clarification. All right, so the very first knives that I want to talk about are knives like this right here, this Cold Steel SRK. Now, the reason that I want to start with these knives is because they are great for beginners for one reason, and that is because they use high carbon steel instead of stainless steel. Now, anytime that you're dealing with a bushcraft or survival knife, often it is good to deal with or use a high carbon knife. And the reason why is because they're extremely strong and durable. You can beat on them, you can baton with them, you can chop with them. You can do a lot of things that you need to do when you're processing wood or in survival situations. If you need to build lean-tos and you need to chop down little limbs and trees, that's the kind of stuff that you can do with knives like this. You can also feather stick and different things like that. But the high carbon steel can take that abuse. Another thing that makes this really, really good, any of these knives that are high carbon, is the fact that they are easy to maintain and sharpen the edge. Nothing would be worse than being out in that situation for the very first time, or one of your very first times as a new person, getting to know your knife, getting to know your skills, practicing a little bit, and realizing that your knife is dull and not having a clue how to sharpen it. Not having anything on you that you can use to sharpen it. That would be a bad situation and your trip is over. You no longer have a knife or a cutting tool. Now you have a baton. Now you have a hammer. Now you have a club. So you need to have something that you can sharpen easy, maintain the edge, and you can use anything that you can find if you're in a bad situation to sharpen the edge. And the great thing about knives like this high carbon steel, is you could literally use a rock. It's not going to make it perfect. It's only going to be like a worst case scenario, but you can at least lay that edge enough to where it would sharpen it enough to cut and do some things that you needed to do. You can take off a leather belt and you can strop it with a leather belt, worst case scenario, and it will help to hone this edge and keep that edge nice. So if you are new and you are learning to sharpen, high carbon steel knives are great knives to learn from or learn with because they are a lot easier to maintain and sharpen than stainless blades and your super steels. All right, and remember, again, they're super dull. Listen to me. You'll get to know me if you're new. You'll learn. Half the stuff I say you can't pay attention to. You just be like, this dude is drunk or something. That'll never be the case, but it might sound like it. They're super tough and super strong, not super dull. But so now that I've talked about carbon and the benefits of carbon, I'm going to get past the carbon and I'm just going to talk about the knives and their capabilities. Okay, so this is an SRK by Cold Steel. this is a fantastic knife. The military uses this knife a lot, and people that are actually watching this video right now have literally used this knife in the military. A lot of different soldiers have done some pretty crazy things with this knife. It has a great molded plastic sheath that has excellent retention, snaps in there really good, has a nylon little strap here, a dangler for your belt. But here's the thing, if you're out bushcrafting or survival situation in the cold, a rubber handle is great. And the reason why is because it's going to be comfortable on your hand when you are doing a lot of those wood chopping things. You know, the shock won't hurt your hand as much. Also, the more your hand gets wet, whether it be from sweat or snow or cold or whatever your hand goes through, that rubber handle not only will be comfortable, but it will become more tacky, so it's easier to hold on to. And it is a really good grip. I mean, that's good ergonomics right there. It's also got a hole at the end, so it's good for a lanyard, so you can tie it around your wrist in case you drop it. It'll dangle instead of falling to the ground. But it's got a hollow edge, a 6-inch blade that has a hollow grind. I said a hollow edge. See, I'm telling you, I've been dealing with kids all day. That's what it is. I've been watching Blippi, and I'm telling you, Blippi's not good for my psyche. It has a hollow grind, and a hollow grind is a really good grind for like cutting. You know, it's good for slicing. This is a knife that you can use for feather sticking wood, really easy, but because it is a thicker blade stock, and it is high carbon, you can also baton and chop and do different things like that. Another great thing about this knife is, and remember, we're not just talking about bushcraft, we're talking about survival and bushcraft. Because different survival, there's a completely different situation there. There's a difference between a survival knife and a bushcraft knife. Completely different. Survival knives, you might have to do different things. This has got a good swedge on it with a really good drop point. So this actually would be good for piercing and poking. If you've ever watched Dual Survival on the Travel Channel or Discovery, or if you've ever watched Les Stroud, Survivor Man, different things that he's done in the survival world is like have to be in a blizzard and they have to strip down car parts or an ATV or a snowmobile or even a plane. They have to strip that down. And a knife like this would be great for that because it can pierce through some metal. It can strip wires. It can, dissect a seat if you need the cushions or whatever. There's a lot of things that you can do with this. And at the same time, you can process wood. Really, really easy with this. So the grind is great for feather sticking. The steel is strong enough to do chopping and batoning. And it's also made for other things like self-defense or survival. If you need to build a shelter, you can do it with this. If you need to strip down an automobile for emergency parts or something like that, you can do it with this. Whatever the case may be, this knife is going to be up to the task. Now, can you break this knife? You can break any knife. Absolutely. With enough force and abuse, you can break any knife. But this is going to stand up to a lot of abuse, and it's going to do you really well. The best thing about this is it comes in at $42 right now on Blade HQ. Across the board, usually $45 or cheaper, you can get these. You can get these also in the folder or SRK1, which is a shorter one. So you've got different models. You can get them in different steels. But this is the SRK and SK5 high carbon steel, and it comes in at $42. This is an excellent, excellent knife that you can use for survival, but you can also use it for bushcraft, and it will do great at both. This is a knife, if you've ever heard that old saying, a jack of all trades but an ace of none, that is a perfect scenario fit for this knife. It is a jack of all trades that can handle any task you throw at it, even though it might not be the best at any one task. It can feather stick, but it's not the best at feather sticking. It can baton, but it's not the best for that. It can do different things, and it will handle the task well. So that is this, the Cold Steel SRK5. And incredibly easy to sharpen and hone the edge if you are a beginner. Incredibly easy. This is a knife I highly recommend for somebody. Even if you're just a knife collector, this is a great knife. If you're a military historian and you like military stuff, great knife to have. If you're a knife collector, great knife to have. If you're a bushcraft person, great knife to have. All the way around. If you like Toyota trucks, this is a great knife to have. If you don't like dogs, this is a great knife to have. No matter what, that's a great knife to have. That's where I'm going. All right, another knife that's excellent. It's budget friendly because you can get this under $50. It has an extremely good name in the bushcraft world, and that is the Mora. Now, this is the Mora Bushcraft. Now, I was going to, we've got the Mora Basics that come in around $10, a couple of dollars higher or lower depending on where you get them, but usually they're right around $10 on average, and they're phenomenal knives. The Mora Basic 511 is a phenomenal knife, but I was going to talk about a knife that costs a little bit more because you get so much more. You get another rubber handle. We already talked about the benefits of that. And look at the ergonomics on this handle. Even better. I mean, your hand, it cradles your hand. What a good feeling. Now, the one thing about the handle that I will say with these is the Moras do not have full tangs. Some of them do, like the Mora Garberg, but that's a lot more of an expensive knife. The Basic 511, this Mora Bushcraft, they do not have full tangs. So even though they're high carbon steel and they can take the abuse and they can do a little bit of chopping and batoning, you do have to be careful how much abuse you do to it because of the full tang issue. Now, it's got a Scandi grind. And Scandi grind is without a doubt the best grind, hands down, no matter what anybody tells you. Scandi grind is the best grind for feather sticking. It is the best. Feather sticking a piece of wood with the Scandi grind compared to any other grind, you will notice a big difference. It's easier. You can do it with any grind at all. You can do it with any knife at all. But work smarter, not harder. And that's what this knife gives you the option to do. This isn't a survival knife. This is a bushcraft knife. You can process wood really well with this. You can baton with it. You can do a little bit of light chopping on smaller limbs and smaller, little trees that are saplings and stuff. You can do that kind of stuff. Again, feather sticking, fire starting, all that stuff. Now, it also has a really sharp spine. That's another thing that the 511 does not have. The 511 Basic has a rounded spine. You can fix that issue with the file that down, so now you have a sharp spine so you can strike a ferro rod. But the way that it comes new, you cannot strike a ferro rod with the 511. You can with this. It has an extremely sharp spine. It will lay the sparks with the ferro rod. This right here will. So all the way around. Now here's some limitations for this knife. This is an excellent bushcraft knife, but this isn't a knife that you're going to want to use to like food prep, anything like that. Like, this is a great camping knife, but it's not a great all-around camping knife. It's not great for food prep. It's not a great slicer. The geometry is just all wrong. Can it do it? Absolutely. Absolutely 100%. You can slice with this, you can cut with this, you can cut rope with this, you can do all those things. But it's not designed for that. Again, work smarter, not harder. So this is an excellent knife if you're going for bushcrafting. If you're not in a survival situation where you might have to do some pretty extreme things, this is a great knife to have. Not that it can't handle extreme situations, but you might want to have that full tang. You might want to have a bigger blade with a slightly different grind for different purposes if you were in that situation. This is a bushcraft knife. Again, high carbon steel. What does that mean for beginners? It means easier sharpening and honing the edge. Maintaining the edge is the number one thing. It's okay to go out and beat this edge to death. It is going to go dull a lot quicker than stainless steel. A lot quicker because it's softer. It's more durable, but it's softer. It's not as hard on the Rockwell chart. So it's a lot softer. But that edge is going to be really easy to strop just with that, or use a rock. Like I said, again, the rock is not a good idea. It will not sharpen your knife, but it will at least lay an edge to it enough in an emergency situation, and even a beginner can do that. If you are a beginner for sharpening, Always practice sharpening. You want to practice sharpening. You don't want to destroy your knives with a rock. I'm just using that as an example, worst case scenario. But these high carbon steel knives are good to practice on. Now another knife that is really great. Now this can be, you can substitute an SE3 or this, the Ontario Rat 3. Either one are, both, they're very, very similar. Very, very similar. They're a lot different, but they're very, very similar. Now this is the Ontario Rat 3. This is a little bit more on the budget end. This is more like $75 to $85. This has got the wooden handles. It is a full tang. Goes all the way up. It does have a hole at the top for the lanyard. It comes with a leather sheath with the belt loop for your belt. Excellent retention. This has got excellent jimping on top, so that it gives you a good hand, and it's got a finger choil. Now what is that finger choil for? That finger choil will come in very, very handy if you are feather sticking, if you are doing things like processing wood. It is a lot thinner blade stock, but it can take the abuse to an extent of batoning and chopping because it's high carbon steel. So you can still do a little bit of that. Not as much, but you can. Now here's the great thing about this knife though. This is an all-around bushcrafting camping knife, to where this is a superstar, like a superstar in bushcrafting and wood processing. This is really good at wood processing and bushcraft, but you can also do other camp tasks. If you want to, if you catch some game and you're hungry and you're in a survival situation, you have game that you need to eat and stuff, you can process it with this. This is a good slicer because it has a better a flat grind, so it's a better edge geometry for slicing. Again, high carbon steel, so it's easier to sharpen, and hone in the edge. But it just has a lot of features that are really nice. A good comfy handle, a good finger choil so you can choke up, fits good in the hand. It's big enough for my large hands. Good jimping on top, a good blade geometry, high carbon steel, an all-around excellent knife for bushcrafting or survival. An all-around excellent knife. Now, if I was in a hardcore survival situation, is this the knife that I want? No, it is not. There's other knives that I'm going to choose. But if I'm in a hardcore survival situation, like my life depends on it, and I have this knife, I will survive just fine because I know what I can do with this knife, and you can do a lot with this knife. A lot. The rats, all the way from the Rat 1 and Rat 2, the folders are some of the best hard use folders you'll get, especially on the budget end. And the Rat 3 all the way up through the Rat 7 and stuff are excellent knives for survival, camping, outdoors. Excellent knives. And remember, high carbon. Now the next knife brand is one of the best, and this is the knife brand that we'll end on. I might show you one or two of these other stainless options just so you have an idea of what other options are out there. But here's a little knife that I wanted to show you guys, because let's say that you are just going not in a survival, your life depends on it situation. You're not going out into the woods to be a bushcrafter and to make a shelter from scratch and chop down some trees and batoning wood and stuff like that. But you are going camping, and you want a good knife that can do a few things if you need to do it. If you do run across a situation where you might need to feather stick just a few little pieces of wood so that you can start a fire, this Essie Azula is a fantastic knife. And you talk to anybody that owns an Azula. Now this is a skeletonized one. You can get them with handles, you can get them without them. This is a skeletonized one. This is the Blade HQ exclusive. This is the Fire Ant Red. So, and I got the kit. It comes with all the strings and everything, and the clips that go on to the sheath here. Now this is the molded plastic sheath that has excellent retention, so it's not going anywhere. You can use this as a neck knife. It comes with a little clip that you can use as a belt knife. You can do paracord wrap, or you can get handles to put on this, either one. But this is a little knife that is phenomenal. It's high carbon steel, again, easy to sharpen, extremely durable. You can feather stick. It has this slicing geometry so you can process food. You can process a small game animal. You can cut vine and ropes and things like that. So if you were going out to the woods and you was just going on a camping trip and you just wanted to have a good knife on you for the basic general task that you run across, that is right here. This is an excellent option for that. Excellent option for that. It can't do the things that the Mora can do for the processing wood. It's not as, awesome all around. It's survival in emergency situations like the SRK is. Even the Rat is a bigger knife, so it's capable of more things. But this little knife, Dynamite comes in small packages, and there's a bang to this knife because this thing is nice. And if you talk to anybody that owns the Azula, or if you look them up online, watch videos about them, you'll see how capable these things are. Now, this one is right at $90 because it's an exclusive, and I got the entire kit that comes with it. You can get it without the kit for $10 less. I got it with the kit. A phenomenal knife. Now, here's the thing about this. It's ESEE, and I'm going to tell you the thing about ESEE here in a second. Now, remember, this is a carbon, high carbon, easy to sharpen, easy to maintain. Now, this last one that I'm going to show you right here is also an ESEE. This is an ESEE 4. My nose is itching. Now, here's the one difference with this. This ESEE 4 right here is an S35 VN. I used to have one in high carbon. I gave it away. I didn't even have it for long. I had it for like 2 weeks and I gave it away, and I've regretted it ever since because I already had this and I just didn't need it, and somebody else wanted it and I gave it away. I believe in ESEE and I love them. This is a knife you need right here. If you are into bushcraft, you need an ESEE knife right here. This is a fantastic knife. Now, I would recommend, if you're a new to knives, you're not familiar with sharpening and stuff a lot, I would really recommend the high carbon ESEE 4. But I got this one because it was just nice, and it was the very first knife that I bought when I was learning like the different stainless steels and stuff. So I wanted a knife that I could afford. I wanted a fixed blade, but I also wanted the knife with all the numbers and letters like the S35 VN. It was my introduction into those super steels, so to speak. So I love this knife. But it's an ESEE. Now, here's the thing about ESEE that makes ESEE so good and why you need an ESEE. People ask me all the time in the comments and in emails, if you can buy one fixed blade, what's it going to be? Hands down, no questions asked. If I can buy several, there's a lot of different fixed blades I'm going to buy. But if I have the money to only buy one fixed blade, and that's it, I cannot buy no more, and I'm literally on that strict of a budget or just restrictions in whatever you want to call it, then it is going to be an ESEE. No question. Here's why. They have the best warranty on the planet when it comes to knives. This is a no questions asked warranty. Now, let's say that this was in high carbon steel or in the S35 VN. But really quick, before I tell you about that warranty, look at this. You see the similarities here? See the similarities? It's just a bigger version. Just a bigger version. Good handle, good finger choil, good jimping on top, good flat grind. Just a bigger knife. This thing can do it all. But let's say that I was chopping with this and I broke the tip off. Let's say I was stabbing into wood because I was just mad at that piece of wood for something. Maybe it dropped it on my toe and I stubbed myself and I was angry and I was like, I'll show you wood. And I was doing it and I broke the tip off. Let's say I just wanted to see how strong it was, and I put it on the edge of the table and I took a hammer and I hit it and I snapped the whole blade right in half. ESEE has a no questions asked warranty. Their motto is this: if you can break this knife, then you deserve a new one. Send it to them and they're going to give you one. No questions asked. They don't care what you did to it. You can literally tell them that you've done it on purpose just to see if you could. They're going to say, Wow, good job. Well, I can't believe you done it. Here's a new one. Don't matter what the excuse is, what they won't ask you what the excuse is. That's why if you can only buy one knife, it needs to be an Essie. Now you can get a more expensive knife that can do better than this Essie can. There are knives that can baton, that can feather stick, different things like that, better than an Essie. And I'm not just saying this Essie with the S35. I'm saying any Essie. I'm saying this Essie, any Essie there is. There are knives that are more capable to an extent. They are not more capable, they just might make it a little bit easier. Like the Lost Trail 5 that I have. I'm sure 100% that if I was feather sticking wood or batoning wood or chopping at a tree trunk or something like that, that Lost Trail 5 is going to be a lot easier and more proficient at the job than this SE4 is. The difference is if I break that Lost Trail 5, I have to buy a new Lost Trail 5. If I break this doing it, then I'm getting a brand new one. So is it worth the fact that you might be able to do it a little bit easier? Because this can do the same thing that the Lost Trail 5 can, even if the Lost Trail 5 can do it easier. It can do it. This SE can do it. Anything you need to do, this SE is going to be able to do right here. The difference is if it breaks, it's replaced. So do you want to spend money on another knife that might do it a little bit easier, but if it breaks, you got to replace it? Or would you rather just do a little bit of more extra work, a little bit more elbow grease, and have that peace of mind? You know, the truest way to economy is to buy once and buy right. And that's what you get with an Essie. So if you are new to the knife game and you are looking for a bushcraft or survival knife, and you do not have the money to buy a bunch of different options, but you want to get something that's going to be able to do the job and you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, so to speak, buy an Essie. Please, buy an Essie. There will be knives that you can get that you might, they're more flashy, they're cool, they look good, they've got the super steels, the Magna Cut, titanium handles, whatever. It doesn't matter. Trust me, the peace of mind that comes with an Essie is worth it. It's as capable as any knife on the market. The difference is it's covered better than any knife on the market. And that is peace of mind. All right, guys. I'm not going to show any of the other options because this video is going on too long. So that's a few options, and those are really good options for beginners. I'll do another one with higher end ones, with higher end steel blades and stuff like that. But there you go. That's a few really good beginner knives for bushcrafting and survival and some of their capabilities and weaknesses, guys. I'm Chris, the Unprofessional Dad. If you liked the video, please like it. Please subscribe. I've never even asked that before at the end of a video, but please like and subscribe if you like it. And let me know what knife you use. What is your favorite bushcraft and survival knife? What is the one that you rely on? What's the one that you use? What's the one that you love? I want to know what's in your collection. Please let me know in the comment section. I'm Chris, the Unprofessional Dad. Until next time, remember, a sharp knife equals a happy life. I will see you the next time with the higher end, more expensive stainless steel version of this same video. I'll see you guys then. Peace. See you.